Joining us via the magic of Skype is the man himself, one of the most decorated black belts in the history of jiu-jitsu, and now Bellator middleweight title contender, Rafael Lovato Jr. is here. Hi, Mr. Lovato. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you doing?
I'm doing so well, my friend. Let me read you something I got from your manager many, many years ago. Not years ago, but this is last year, early in the first quarter. Here's what he told me. We believe that 2018 could see him propelled to a championship fight at 185, or at least an eliminator that gets it teed up in 2019. Wow. Talk about calling your shot. You guys had this plan, and it all came to fruition. That's pretty amazing.
Yes, thank you. It was definitely, my goal and my vision to be fighting for the belt around this time. Everything has just worked out perfectly. It's been quite a ride. I'm super, super thankful to be in this position right now.
All right. When let's talk about how this fight got made. Did they call you right away and say, hey, this is what we want for UFC 214? Did they give you an indication after your last fight that maybe this was coming? How did it get put together?
Well, the last fight was definitely, kind of booked as a number one contender fight. John has been one of the top contenders for quite some time. Everything was surrounding that fight was that it was a title. The winner was going to get a title shot. That's definitely what I was pushing for and hoping for. After winning that fight, I definitely felt good about my chances. But of course, you never really know how it's going to go. And a lot of it, I think, kind of rested on what Mousasi wanted to do. If he said, no, I don't want to fight that guy, I'll wait for Machida. I think Bellator probably would have granted his wish. But he wants to be a really active champion right now, which is amazing. And the fact that the UFC happened to be on the same day, I think they really wanted to stack the card up and get 2 title fights on there. And so, it all just worked out like destiny, Mousasi wants to fight. I earned my spot. And Bellator wants to make the card stack. So here we are.
Interesting. All right, so let's talk about the matchup itself. You've seen Mousasi. He might be the best middleweight right now, or certainly the best version of himself anyway. When you assess the challenge, what do you see?
I see a great big challenge for sure. He has tons of experience. I've been watching him for quite a long time. He's been one of my favorite fighters over the years. Super technical, very well-rounded. He can beat the kickboxers on the ground, and the ground fighters, he's usually able to be standing up. So he's very versatile. I think everyone can see this fight basically for what it is, him having the striking advantage and me having the advantage on the ground. It's definitely not going to be easy to get him there. But for me, the game plan is definitely to try to take him down and use my jiu-jitsu. I'd be crazy to try to keep with him. So, just want to test his jiu-jitsu a little bit and take it to where I'm at my strength.
But it's sort of an interesting situation, right? Because I've interviewed you before several now of these Bellator fights, and you've been at a point to be like, look, yes, of course, the jiu-jitsu is a nice ace in the hole, but I've really got to work on my striking. I've really got to get good. And you have. That's a big part of your arsenal. I understand your point about look where I'm strongest, look where he's strongest, but also haven't you been on a path so that you don't have to retreat to that?
Yeah, for sure. What I don't want is to come off like, uncomfortable and expose myself reaching for takedowns and, being sort of almost scared on the feet, I've been working a lot on my stand-up game, my striking, my Muay Thai, and I've been able to make some big improvements very quickly, I feel like. Even having a couple fights that took place almost primarily on the feet. It's not like I've been getting dominated on the feet, but of course I haven't been fighting anyone the level of Mousasi. So I definitely respect his stand-up, but that's where the fight's going to start. So I'm going to be ready. And for me, I think the benefit of me on the feet, is that most people are going to be very, scared of opening themselves up for a takedown because they don't want to end up on the bottom of me. So that's one of my biggest advantages. I plan to exploit that. The fact that I can throw whatever I want, and usually no one's really going to want to try to take me down. that also helps. So I can be a little more open with my stand-up game, and threaten many different things all at once with punches, kicks, takedowns, knees, elbows, everything. The plan is definitely to utilize all the weapons, and the fact that I'm long, helps me in that as well.
So you've got 9 pro fights. Now you've got a gazillion matches in jiu-jitsu, probably more than anybody could even count. But in terms of MMA, you're, I guess, technically relatively inexperienced. Does it bring you trepidation that you only have 9, or more do you look at it and say, that's a lot of miles I don't have on my body in terms of MMA competition?
Yeah, for me, it's very positive. Definitely, I don't have, tons of grueling, grinding fights that put the miles on my body. So that's a good thing. I am older, but still young in the MMA game. So I don't quite feel that damage or that mileage. And I think that the fact that I'm older is also a plus too, because I came into this sport, very aware of who I was and what my goals were, what I'm trying to accomplish, with a good head on my shoulders, so to speak. I wasn't out there, I'm not out there just trying to, make a big name or whatever, like, feather my ego or anything like that. Since I've already made my mark in the martial arts, and I'm very happy with that. So for me, this is just a very enjoyable challenge, an enjoyable journey that's bringing me closer to so many of my teachers and people that are very special to me. My martial arts journey, they're all coming together with me, for this, part of my martial arts journey. It's like my whole life wrapped into one. So I'm having a lot of fun, and for sure, the years of jiu-jitsu competition, that experience definitely helps me. I'm used to, I was the up and coming guy, and then I made my mark. I became a world champion, and then I was dealing with, having the target on my back. So I've kind of been through it all in jiu-jitsu. So this is new to me, but that experience definitely applies. And I'm really relaxed in this place where I'm at right now, and just feeling super grateful and happy, and ready to kind of put my stamp on my martial arts career here on January 26th.
When do you feel worse, after a fight or after a jiu-jitsu tournament?
Like, as far as being sore and beat up?
Yeah.
Both can be bad. I've had some fights where, like, I wasn't even really that sore at all. The last fight, I definitely felt it. There was a lot of impact, and I threw a lot of kicks, and so my legs got a little beat up. I think that's one of the areas that hurts the worst in MMA, is like, the shins, all right, and absorbing all the kicks, or kicking and hitting their elbows or their legs, But man, I'll say this though: there are some jiu-jitsu tournaments where I've had 7 or 8 matches in one day over the span of 10 hours, and those days are pretty brutal as well. So you have the lumps and bruises of MMA, and then just the tightness that the jiu-jitsu can give you from going up and down, getting warmed up, competing, cooling back down, trying to warm up again, and doing that all day long is pretty tough too. So they're both equally, I don't want to say equal, in different ways, they both can beat up the body pretty good. But what's funny is, actually, the day of an MMA fight, I actually feel more relaxed than what I normally do the day of a jiu-jitsu tournament, because in jiu-jitsu, there's so many variables as far as, all the matches that you could have, the different games that you're going to run into, the referees and how they're going to score, and decisions and whatnot. Whereas in MMA, it's basically all in your hands. It's one guy, they're going to shut the doors, and it's up to you to get the victory. So for that, I've become a little more calm and just like, all right, I'm ready, and I just trust my instincts. So there's some interesting, differences there. But right now, for me, I'm having a lot more fun with MMA right now than what I've had for quite some time.
Yeah, I can imagine. Are you one of the last of the Mohicans? Let me make this point. So you look around at the guys who are the stars of jiu-jitsu today. Now, Gary Tonin made his way to MMA. He's over at 1. you got guys like Gordon Ryan, Keenan Cornelius, Gianni Grippo, and they'll tell you outright they don't have to come to MMA anymore. You're a little bit old school. You're like that pre-Cornelius generation where all those guys made their way over. Are we going to see fewer and fewer of you in MMA?
As far as jiu-jitsu guys, you know, the highest level jiu-jitsu guys transitioning into MMA, you know, probably, yeah, I would say the amount of opportunities there are in jiu-jitsu, and the fact that jiu-jitsu, like the people coming up now already see jiu-jitsu as this big sport, and maybe they don't ever look at MMA the same way as something like, oh, I want to go to that level. But, you know, nowadays guys are getting so many opportunities, making good money, big professional events, that they can almost have that same level of stardom just doing jiu-jitsu versus switching over to MMA. So I would definitely say there's going to be less and less of that going on, but there's a bigger pool to choose from now. So, you know, the guys that do transition over, I think are going to have a great shot of being successful, especially if they, you know, if their game doesn't rely too much on one set of rules, and they're able to cross over between gi, no gi, and all the different formats. Those people could be very successful in MMA. I still believe in that. But you know, I come from that, definitely that old school era, you know, where when I first started training jiu-jitsu, there, you know, I didn't even know about any world titles, anything like that. You know, there was no sport really. You know, it was still in Brazil in its beginning phases. So, you know, you trained because it was an important element of your complete martial arts, you know, system, you know, of self-defense. You had to know how to fight on the ground. And so that's how I started training up in that world, you know, under my father and his beliefs of being a well-rounded martial artist. And so for me, you know, it was sort of inevitable that one day I would end up in the cage. But nowadays, you know, I definitely think there's less and less, I want to say pressure, but, you know, motivation, I guess I would say, for guys to come over and get punched in the face whenever they can, you know, have tons of opportunities to do and be a little more relaxed.
Now, you just kind of alluded to it, so I guess I'll just make it a very brief question. It sounds like what you're looking for is the complete journey of your athletic and martial arts experience. So some kind of matriculation was inevitable. It's not, because I'm guessing that all these companies that are around now, they must be ringing your phone as well.
I mean, not exactly. You know, I'm really happy with where I'm at, and I think everyone sees my climb and are letting me, you know, do my thing. But you're 100% right about, you know, this being the sort of the culmination of all my years of martial arts training. You know, I kind of, you know, the pre-jiu-jitsu journey under my father that was very much, you know, the JKD Jeet Kune Do system and mindset of becoming a well-rounded, you know, complete martial artist. And that led us to jiu-jitsu. And then I had my, you know, basically all my teenage years into my 20s dedicated 100% to becoming the best jiu-jitsu practitioner I could possibly be. And now this is sort of phase 3 where it all comes together. And, you know, competition is in my blood. I love to compete. So, of course, it's only natural to be in the cage. And, you know, like I said, just trying to, you know, sort of leave my mark, you know, and experience, you know, what it is, you know, this of who I am, complete martial artist, and compete against the best. So that's why I'm so thankful, you know, for this opportunity to go against one of the greats, someone I respect so much. And I think it's just an amazing opportunity that I'm planning to take 100%.
One of the good parts about this bout, I'm guessing from your perspective, is there's not a guy trying to be antagonistic across the face-off from you. You're seeing in sport jiu-jitsu, certainly in MMA as well, this rise of trash talk, of trolling, of antagonism. Doesn't seem like it's a big part of your game. I'm wondering what you make of it in the game more especially. Again, not really relevant for your next contest, but it could be for your first or second title defense if things go well.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's like, I mean, it's part of it in MMA for sure. Definitely a lot more of that goes on than what there is in jiu-jitsu. And for jiu-jitsu, it's very new. I think, the media that's in jiu-jitsu now, and along with social media, has definitely kind of pushed the amount of trash talking going on, and the way the guys want to get matches and get things like that. In MMA, it's definitely been going on for a lot longer. I think it is nice this fight to have someone that is more on that, true martial artist. It's a phrase I like to use. That sort of mindset where they just let their skills speak for themselves. The actions speak for themselves, and they don't feel the need to talk or downgrade anybody. Talk bad about them or insult them in any way. If it comes and there's been a little bit, I see a little bit here and there of people calling me out or things like that. It doesn't really affect me. It doesn't really bother me. I don't like to put my energy into that sort of thing. So, if other people feel like that's what they need to do, that's fine. For me, I'm all about putting out the positive energy and of course, trying to be a good role model as well for all the other young martial artists out there coming up and show that set of values that my father taught me.
Yeah, it's just always so weird to come from a school where you bow to get on the mat, and then everybody is out there talking about each other's mom. It's it's a bizarre contradiction, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. That's one thing that I've talked about before, and like I don't always think it's who that person really is. Because for sure they've learned the values that the martial arts has given them, and so it's almost like a bipolar, like split personality. It's like there's the real person, and then there's the person in front of the camera or on social media that's just trying to get paid or whatever, and move up a little faster by talking. And so, that's one thing that one way to go about it. And if you're trying to feed your family and things like that, I guess I get it, but I'm gonna try to be true to who I really am, and try to stand for something positive at the end of the day versus just talking, just trying to make money.
Very quickly, on the top of the card you're on is Fedor versus Bader. Now, Fedor has, we think, maybe turned back the clock a little bit. It's kind of hard to say. Bader is the toughest challenge, but it's an interesting question in the following sense. In jiu-jitsu, as you well know, there's masters divisions, and people can compete well past their sort of elite black belt competition age. I'm wondering what you make of someone like the idea of a masters division in MMA. Is such a thing a good idea? Is it even possible?
Sorry, I'm changing scenes here.
It's okay.
No, I like that. I think that would be awesome. I mean, for sure, they got to take care of their health and make sure that it's okay for them. Obviously, pass all the exams, and they're as long as they have a good bill of health and they've taken care of themselves over the years. Like obviously, I don't want to get ridiculous. Like there's definitely a point where they just need to hang it up, but. Like Henzo, for example, has definitely took care of himself. And, he fought not too long ago at the age of 50. And I thought it was amazing. And I think there's others who are aging very well that can, still put up a good fight, and as long as they're matched accordingly, I would still love to watch it. It's still technical and it's inspiring. So I think it's okay. And these guys, like, they fight their whole lives, like they still have the fight in them. I mean, for me, I already know I'm never gonna be able to stop. I'm gonna be doing the master division, at all the jiu-jitsu tournaments until I can't walk anymore. So, to see something like that in MMA, I think would be cool. But obviously to a certain extent, let's not get crazy and risk anybody's, health. But if they've taken care of themselves and, they got a good opponent that is kind of the same, sort of like a legends division, guys that maybe fought each other, 10, 20 years ago. Yeah, give them some more fights. Let them keep doing what they love and inspire us all to keep going.
All right, last question before we let you go. You've won a gazillion medals in jiu-jitsu. I could read it off for days, but people can look it up for themselves. Let's say you win the Bellator middleweight title at Bellator 214. Is there any way to help us understand from your perspective where you, and maybe you don't rank your medals in such a way, but I'm just trying to understand where that would fit into your larger body of work in terms of some of the higher titles you've achieved?
I mean, it's definitely going to be an amazing, amazing moment. Um, I believe in it so much, and the feeling that I'm getting as I visualize it is just incredible. But of course, whenever I was a kid, I had these incredible dreams in jiu-jitsu as well, and I was able to make most of those come true, and those were amazing moments that I'll never forget. Also, but this is just the next level. So I can't say that it's going to be bigger or more than what those were at that time, but today it's definitely bigger. Like if I won another world title in jiu-jitsu right now, it would not have near the same effect as what this is going to have on January 26th. So um, you know, everything is all about who you are at that time. And right now, for me, like this will definitely be the greatest moment of my career.
Well, I can't wait to see it. It's going to be incredible. Bellator 214. This will go down January 26th at the Forum in Inglewood, California. And Rafael Lovato Jr. takes on Gegard Mousasi for the Bellator middleweight title. Congratulations on the opportunity. Cannot wait to see you fight. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Luke. Appreciate it. Good to talk to you again.
Always, always.